The purpose of this video is to show you how to do a constructed response. I want to make sure you understand what that term means and how it will be graded. A constructed response is a paragraph response to a text-specific question. So when you know you have to write a constructed response, you should plan to write 3 to 5 sentences. This is an example of a constructed response, and one that I'll be answering for you today to show you how it's done. Explain the significance of the weather in Story of an Hour. Use textual evidence to support your response. Notice that this question specifically asks you to reference Story of an Hour. When you're thinking about writing your constructed response, we like to teach you to use the RACE strategy. R stands for restate the question. You want to restate the question so that you have a statement. Most of the time, if you just flip the question around, you can create a pretty strong opening sentence. You want to make sure that you're answering the question. A lot of times students will just provide summary and they'll never actually answer the question that's been asked. The C stands for cite the source. This is where you are providing specific textual evidence. Now in this chart, it says it's okay to just reference where the text says, where the text states that. I want you to put quotation marks around it and pull out the actual quote. And then the E asks you to explain your response. You want to make sure you explain how the textual evidence answers the question. Let me show you an example. So you'll recall our constructed response prompt. Explain the significance of the weather in the Story of an Hour. Use textual evidence to support your response. Here is a good constructed response. The weather in Story of an Hour is important because it mirrors Mrs. Mallard's mood. When Mrs. Mallard first learns of her husband's death and goes upstairs, there is the delicious breath of rain in the air. The rain shows her sorrow. As she stares out of the window and begins to realize that she is free from her marriage, patches of blue sky begin breaking through the clouds. The clearing sky represents her sense of self and her awareness that she is free. Now here's what makes this a good constructed response. Constructed responses are scored on this 4-point rubric. The first point is earned by answering in complete sentences. So even if you have no idea how to answer the question, if you were to just simply write, "I don't know," period, you're going to earn 1 out of 4 points. The second point is earned because you've addressed the question or answered the prompt. In this response, the writer has clearly connected the weather to the significance of the text. They've said it's important because it mirrors Mrs. Mallard's mood. So in the opening sentence, we've answered the question. The third point comes because you have cited correct textual evidence. This writer cited the delicious breath of rain, patches of blue sky, and through the clouds. All 3 of those pieces of textual evidence deal with the weather in Story of an Hour. Notice that this writer has also put quotation marks around the textual evidence. If you don't put quotation marks around what you copy from the text, you will not get the textual evidence point. The 4th point is made when the writer connects these pieces of textual evidence to the answer for the question. It's not enough to say that the weather mirrors Mrs. Mallard's mood and then not explain how it does so. Today, you're going to write a constructed response. Please open your assignment so you'll see what to do.